And number 8, for what value of n is the absolute value n minus 1 and then plus 1 equal to 0? Okay. So we write our equation. We want this n minus 1, absolute value of that, plus 1, want it to equal to 0. So we can either solve this algebraically or we can just go and try out the answer choices. So for example, if we plug in 0, see what happens, we get n is 0, right? This will be 0 minus 1 plus 1 equal to 0. And the absolute value, it makes everything positive, right? So we solve the inside first, and then we get a negative number, it will turn into positive. If it's already positive, it will stay positive. So if we solve the inside, this will be absolute value negative 1 plus 1 equal to 0. We get 1 plus 1 equals 0, right? Because negative 1 become positive 1. So you get 2 equal to 0, and that's not true. Okay, 2 is not equal to 0. So which means A won't work. All right, so A is not equal to 0. We plug in solve is not equal to 0. So for letter B, we plug in 1, right? So we're plugging in the same thing here. Okay, so let's try that. So it will be absolute value of 1 minus 1 plus 1 equal to 0. Let's verify that. We get 0 plus 1 equal to 0. Again, that's not true, right? 1 is not equal to 0. So not B. Well, let's try C. We have absolute value 2 minus 1 plus 1. Is that equal to 0? Well, we get 1 plus 1, that's 0. And then we get, again, 2. And that's not equal to 0. Right? And then we see that C doesn't work, so it had to be D. Right? There is no such value of n. And we think about this, why is that? Right? Why don't we have any n value that works? Well, if we go back to the original equation, see if we're going to solve this algebraically, what we need to do is we can do a minus 1 on both sides. Right? So if we do that, we get n, that's why n minus 1 equal to negative 1. And remember, absolute value, it makes everything inside positive, right? So we can get either 0 or positive, but we cannot get a negative number when we take the absolute value, right? And then here we have absolute value n minus 1 equal to negative 1. That will never happen, right? Because we take the absolute value, no matter what we have inside, it's not going to be equal to negative 1. All right, it would be either 0 or positive. Okay, so that's why this is no solution. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what n is, this will never work. Okay, so D will be our answer.